So why are people mad like they have some fiduciary responsibility to grill Netanyahu about why Palestinians are dying of starvation? Like, that's not their business. They don't care. They want views. They just want eyes on their podcast so they can keep selling Happy Dad beer. They don't give a shit. Right, they're sitting there arguing about, is McDonald's better than Burger King? Why are you taking these guys serious? Who cares? They're just retards. they're just dudes with a platform that appeal to the lowest common denominator of man, which is just dude bro, college dorm, alcoholic womanizer asshole.
Israel, we got Bibi Netanyahu on the NELK Boys podcast. They've released it after sitting on it for nearly a week. I think it's pretty fair to say it's been a total disaster for them. So we're going to get into the fallout. It's actually a lot to say about it, both in terms of their handling of the...
Why would he agree to go on the NELK Boys podcast? What the hell does Benjamin Netanyahu have on there? Or, like, what business does he have being on there?
The question you have to ask is, well, a lot of propaganda.
Let's see.
Why do you think you're, like, so hated worldwide?
Well, a lot of propaganda. The question you have to ask is not why do they hate me or President Trump, is why don't they see reality? Why don't they see what's good for them? And the answer is most of them do if you tell them the facts. But how do you tell them the facts over TikTok?
Why do they say Israel's like starving the people of Gaza?
Well, because we're trying to get the food in, and we let food trucks in, and guess what happens when we let them in? Hamas steals the food, takes the good chunk for itself, then they jack up the prices, and then they sell the food to its population, to its hungry population.
Even in New York City, right?
So a lot of people have been taken in by this nonsense. I mean, what, you want to defund the police? You want to have people go into stores and, rob them and be free? You think that really creates a good society?
Of course not.
You want to crush all enterprise? You want to tax people to death? You know, sometimes you have to get mugged by reality to understand how stupid that is.
Sometimes you have to get mugged by reality to realize how stupid that is. That is very correct.
So that's silly, but, sometimes folly overtakes human affairs for a while, but not for long. I'm less concerned with it because I think if we can speak the truth to the young people of America, they wise up pretty quickly.
You like Burger King over McDonald's?
That's your worst take, I think.
Absolutely.
That's a crazy take.
That last part, the Burger King McDonald's, that was the only pushback, actually, that Netanyahu
Right, that's a good point.
got in his interview. And so this is a very interesting, question around the decision of the Netanyahu government to invite the NELK boys invite the NELK boys to the Blair House, the official guest residence of the White House for a foreign leader. And Netanyahu's own admission is he was like, I'm here to reach young people. And you have Steiny and Kyle here of the NELK boys. I can't believe I'm saying this. That's
unbelievable, bro.
Contextualize.
What kind of dystopian universe are we living in with the NELK boys interviewing the Prime Minister of Israel?
I mean, these are just like frat degens, right? These are guys who literally, before you even get to listen to the podcast, you get to listen to Kyle talking about firing on Prize Picks, just so everybody understands. They sell like Happy Dad sells. It's a prank YouTube channel. This is an OG kind of, the Jake Paul, I guess, kind of transition from you do pranks and everything moves on, and now you're political, and they've been right wing, and now they're a podcast that features the most controversial people in the world. But like at the end of the day, these guys are idiots by their own admission. I mean, they even say they're like, we're so unqualified to do this, and that's basically what came out. This is, I think, shows the useful idiot nature of the way that a lot of these guys are allowing themselves to be used. But I would put this in the most extreme category.
I don't think they're allowing themselves to be used. It's a symbiotic relationship. Netanyahu gets to push the message out that he wants. They get the views, the notoriety from meeting with the world leader. And they're like, yeah, we're retarded. We don't really care. We just want to talk to people. And, I don't understand why that's such a negative thing. I don't get it. Why is it so bad?
Not only one of the most controversial figures in the world, but more importantly, you have somebody actively involved in the war. And the best that you can muster is being like, hey, why are there kids who are starving and dying? He's like, oh, that's 100% on Hamas. And it's like, dude, like you don't even have like a it's not about pushback. You should ask yourself, why is Netanyahu going on the NELK Boys? Why does he do interviews with Brett Baer and other American journalists and refuse to do interviews with people who are in his own country who are journalists? You know why? Because they would be like, hey, why are you corrupt and take money from Qatar and then come to our country and accuse other people of taking that? You put your corruption trial on pause. Netanyahu, what's going on with your political coalition? They might ask him some like actually difficult questions. Even pro-Israel, like pro-Israeli journalists would still be like, hey, hold on a second here. You're doing a lot of shady stuff, you know, in our country. Not to mention the war in Gaza. And so I think that's what kind of took everybody, aback, just the sheer way that they just let him spout off like this. And I mean, it's not a surprise. It was obvious that this was going to go this way in the beginning. But what I have found more interesting is actually I would say, universal condemnation of the way that they handled it. Again, Ryan, you and I would die for the opportunity to have Bibi Netanyahu.
Yeah.
This is not a platforming debate at all, okay? I would love nothing more to sit down with the guy and be like, okay, let's go, bro.
Right.
You know, let's go. It would be fun.
I like the way this guy talks so much. I would love that. I would pay for that. I would pay like UFC. No, I'm just playing. I'm not pay-per-viewing it, but
I would do it with anybody.
I'd be very interested in watching.
Any dictator, Putin, you know, any of these people. It's about the way that you conduct yourself during that, and specifically also to recognize, especially when the guy is saying openly, I'm doing this to reach young people. And then you can see, not just in the comment section, but I really would say in the condemnation and the polling around Israel, around the issue, you have to try and represent that. To the extent that you have a duty, let's put journalistic ethics and all that aside. I always look at it as a duty to the audience. And like, for our audience, obviously 18 to 35-year-olds, people who are interested in politics, it's obvious it's an issue they care deeply about, and let's get into the details. And I think that's really where they failed on this.
And I have an idea for people out there. So if you are watching this and you're a podcaster who has millions of followers, but you know you're not equipped for an interview like this, and we actually have, like, a lot of those podcasters watch this program, which is something I'm proud of.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So, and don't share this with the PR people. Like, this is just between us and the audience. These requests are going to keep coming from people like Netanyahu, and specifically probably Netanyahu himself. The next time you get one of those requests, reach out to Sagar, me, Emily, Crystal, and any of us.
I've done this, by the way. I'm not going to reveal my sources, but
we're not
many
going to say
people
anything
who have interviewed Trump or other political leaders often will call me and ask for advice. And I'll be like, well, here's the way I would frame this question, and I would say this and this. I do it all to time for free. I'm not charging anybody.
Exactly. We will not tell anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can find my number. If you're
that's cool
if
that
you're
they
the
do
kind of
that.
person who's getting this request from somebody like a Netanyahu, you know, you probably have my number or Sagar's number, or somebody in your circle has my number or Sagar's number. Reach out. Do not do this alone.
Yeah, that's right.
Because you will become the
And this is how you will end up. Exactly. And you'll find yourself basically the butt of a joke.
I think they are just retarded guys, because I know nothing about how to conduct an interview with a world leader. But when you set it up as this, like, you know, legacy media format of, okay, this is the diplomatic way that you frame these questions, I don't give a shit about that. I'm a private citizen. I will just ask these questions. Just be straight up. Why are you, like, pussyfooting, like, beating around the bush? If you have something to ask a world leader, you know how much shit I would love to ask Netanyahu if I had the opportunity to sit across from him and talk to him? Bro, that'd be a 5-hour interview. I'd be asking so many questions. But if they don't have anything floating around in their subconscious anyways, happy dad, you guys want to go to the club later and get drunk? Bro, I made my own bank account just to pay my OnlyFans girls. They're just dumb dudes. It has nothing to do with podcasters or political influencers in the space. It has everything to do with them just being uninteresting, dude bro frat doofuses. As simple as that.
And really what's funny is NELK almost immediately recognizes, they're like, oh man, we screwed this up bad. And the first clip that we have to show people, Ryan, is the one that you flagged where they're like, yeah, I guess it is like interviewing Hitler. Let's take a listen.
Having Netanyahu on is like having modern day Hitler.
No, I saw that.
Which is, honestly, guys, I'll be honest, I'm here to, it's a good point.
That's a good point. When I see people that are that stupid say something like that, and I look at the size of my platform versus the size of theirs, it gives me so much confidence because like as soon as I hit that audience, as soon as I hit that stride, I'm going to literally take off because these guys are brain dead.
That's a good point. Not exactly. I think
chugging the wine.
Chugging his wine.
That was not a sip.
Why are you drinking wine? Not happy, Dad, bro. You're supposed to be on message.
He's breaking character.
But you know, I mean, as you put it so aptly, not the post-interview commentary Netanyahu was looking for. You know, again, what's funny is I went back and I was looking. I go, okay, who are these American journalists who interviewed Hitler? Because there are some, actually. And prior to Hitler's rise to power, Hitler did several interviews, actually, with American journalists. Do you know what he did? He did them with William Randolph Hearst newspaper reporters who were pro-fascist. And so the analogy is very apt. And when more critical journalists, people like William Shire and other, more critical journalists from the West were wanting to interview Hitler and challenge him, the Nazis would not allow them to do it because they knew that it would be kind of a PR problem for him. So, look, what's new is just as old. It goes around as old as time. But this gets to the platforming thing. Neither of us are against platforming. In the 1930s, if you're William Shire, if you're an American journalist in Nazi Germany, you're an idiot if you're not trying to get an interview with Hitler. That's not what it's about. What it's about is being able to sit down and to actually talk with them and not challenge per se in the way that people are like, oh, I don't want to see that. But what you want is to actually get beneath the propaganda. Right. And that was the issue broadly with the interview. This was actually broken down quite well by a number of streamers, I will note, left and right, who the NELK guys invited on their podcast, people like Hassan Piker, Nick Fuentes, Sneeko, all of these other
I would never
know who.
The only person that I would completely write off ever having a public conversation with, that I would never want to be associated with in any way, shape, or form at all whatsoever, because I borderline hate them, is Hassan Piker. I think that nigga is the most spineless, bitch-made, dishonest, disingenuous piece of trash. I have no respect for him at all whatsoever. He sucks. Hassan sucks. And every single person that likes him that I've ever had the displeasure of engaging with in any sort of conversation at all has also sucked.
Who all of these people are. And here's a little taste of the lecture that they gave to the NELK guys in their post-interview stream. Let's take a listen.
I'm doing a podcast. It's just a podcast. But you don't realize that there's like a gravity there. There are powerful people wanting access to your fucking platform that have an agenda. It's just like when I was asking about like Zuckerberg, right? His stock plummets when he's like doing the censorship around COVID, and then everyone's like, "You're anti-free speech Democrat," and then he puts a chain against muscles, and then his stock goes back up. He's going on podcasts now because his stock price. It's an advantage for them, and
they're using you guys. They're using you guys to look good.
The fact that he likes One Piece makes me so mad.
Understands what's happening in the world, and you guys don't have to, because people love you for prank and lifestyle content.
But Benjamin Netanyahu's not promoting a book, dog. He's promoting a genocide. That's the point. There's a difference, though. I'm well equipped to have a conversation with Benjamin Netanyahu, because when he says something like that, I can turn around and be
You're
like,
not well equipped.
You're
not well equipped to have a conversation with Benjamin Netanyahu. You are a Houthi-loving terrorist sympathizer that gets to act with impunity on your platform because Twitch's punk-ass moderation doesn't care, because they agree with you, because it's corrupt. And then they screw over people that they don't agree with because it's just a bullshit platform.
Has said that, you're
not well equipped, you're a dumb cuck.
Stealing aid, whereas you don't have that follow-up in that situation, and Benjamin Netanyahu knows that, and his team knows that, which is precisely why he went on the NELK Boys podcast, and he didn't go on, my stream or something.
There's 2 million.
What a massive ego. I can't stand that punk bitch. Oh my gosh, Hassan, I don't like you at all. Shout it from the rooftops, you're a clown.
Palestinians living in Gaza, 2.1 million. And basically their goal since 2023, which was articulated in official government documents,
Nick Fuentes is a bitch boy too.
Want to get all of the Palestinians out. They want them to move to Libya, Ethiopia, Morocco, these other countries. And they're framing it like, well, we're going to let them leave voluntarily. But what they're doing on the other side is they're starving them, dehydrating them, blowing up their homes, so that basically they have no choice. So they say to the Palestinians, do you want to stay here in hell where you have no home to return to? It's all rubble. There's no food and water. Or you want to go move to Libya? And that's really their goal.
They told me that they had 20 people in the room while they were doing the podcast. I'm like, Steiny, that was Mossad. He's like, no, they were just HR people. I'm like, no, that was the CIA and the Mossad watching you interview.
So I think Hassan actually puts it quite well. And by the way, there was similar pushback from Nick Fuentes, from Sneeko, from all of these other guys.
Sneeko's an idiot. I don't care what Sneeko has to say about anything.
Who they brought on in terms of their reaction. And, you know, I thought Adam Friedland actually put it quite well, right? He was like, dog, they're not promoting a book. Like, you know, what I'm saying? So it's about the conduct of the war and, you know, just being...
Right, because that was in response to them saying, look, we had OJ, we had, I forget what other...
Bro, you only never
terrible
OJ
person.
in 2020? Okay, you know, that's not in the middle of the trial, by the way. Oh, did OJ do any interviews with the trial? Does anybody want to tell me? No, actually, just so you're all aware.
And OJ killed 2 people.
Yeah, that's right. It's so preposterous, and it's not. And this is where this is the logical endpoint of we'll have anybody on and we'll just talk. And this is the and actually I'm quite heartened by the fact that there was this left and right kind of pushback and recognition by NELK almost immediately, but we're like, oh man, we really messed this up. And I actually, the stupidest thing they did is in the very beginning, aside from promoting sports gambling, was being like, oh, we're so unprepared. And also what? We don't know how to fix our collars? Gentlemen, come on, you know, what are we doing here? The point is just, when you have no facts and you're also, the guy admits to using you on your show, you should feel pretty embarrassed by that. Like, again, it's not a platforming argument, and that is just where...
We have to bring back critical thinking. We have to bring back individualistic intellectual autonomy. We need to bring back individuality. We need to bring back authentic opinions. We need to make individuality great again, bro. Make critical thinking great again. You have a world leader of one of the most prolific, you know, most talked about, most discussed, most controversial places in the world. And you're talking about Burger King or McDonald's.
They just humiliated themselves. But I actually think it was an interesting turning point, you know, for the internet. Let's put A4 up there on the screen, just to give people an example, right? And we should all be asking what these types of things mean and what are they a consequence of. So for those of you who don't speak French, let me just translate. The Agence France-Presse, AFP, says that its journalists are, quote, in imminent risk of being starved to death by Israel. This has, quote, never happened since the agency was founded, and never has any of its journalists ever been starved to death. And so since I have an expert on that, Ryan, A5, can we put that on the screen? Why don't you explain to us in detail how this starvation is a direct...
Israeli imposed starvation campaign? But, like, I've actually watched Hamas steal the food. I've watched it. I've seen the videos of it happening. I've seen them take it, dump it in the ocean, and then keep it for themselves and sell it.
A consequence of Israeli policy. And I should also add United States policy.
Yeah, so this is a report from yesterday by Abdel Kader and Sharif Abdel Qaddus at Dropsite News. Abdel Kader reporting from Gaza, from Deir al-Bali.
Thank you, Jesus. I was not born in one of these Middle Eastern PvP servers, bro. I'm so grateful.
He's said to us that everyone here is collapsing. Like, we just cannot stand up. So I would encourage everybody to go and read that story if they can at Dropsite News. But this morning, the Ministry of Health put out its new numbers. In the last 24 hours, another 15 people died of starvation. That brings a total over 100 who have died of starvation. It is, you have to be very, 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 very far down the road of malnutrition to die of starvation. That is that should be obvious to everybody watching. This is not just a fast of a couple days. You have to be way down the road.
It takes 70 days or something.
Yes.
Like that. It's not easy.
So on March, and this is right around the time that
people can fast for 40 days.
International humanitarian aid groups were warning that we would hit this point. So the forecasts have been pretty close. March 2nd is when Israel announced that it was going to let no more food into Gaza. Now, over the last several weeks, 6 to 8 weeks, you've seen these Squid Games firing squads run by the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, in which you're seeing dozens of aid seekers killed on a daily basis, because the way that they operate these aid distribution sites, they're keeping them far away from anywhere where there is Hamas, which means they're oftentimes 10, 15 kilometers away from where people live. And internet is very spotty, and they will announce, okay, 6 a.m. is when it's opening. And often the aid distribution lasts about 15, 20 minutes. So you've got to be right there at 6 a.m. if you're going to have a shot at getting any food.
Oh, and by the way, you might get gunned down by the time you're actually doing it.
Right, and so
in multiple documented instances.
So what people do is they walk all night, and they crouch on the other side of the dune waiting for the sign, and sometimes they'll just cancel it while people are walking. And then in order to, so now you have crowd problems. In order to disperse the crowd and keep the crowd under control, they use live fire, not just from assault weapons, but they have admitted they've used it from naval warships. They shell these crowds from their naval warships. The IDF has acknowledged this. And they also use...
Show me. Prove it. I really find that hard to believe. I don't believe that. I really don't believe that.
And they will shoot tank shells towards the people. And so they will kill dozens every single day. And inside the rations that people, if they are able to get it, are not what aid organizations are used to sending out. Like these, they got these like nutrition-dense biscuits and other things that the UN, that has been doing this for decades, puts in these rations, so that if you do get that, okay, now you're not happy, but you're gonna be good for like another 24 hours or so. They're giving them like pasta and bags of flour. Cooking the flour, that you need water, you need fuel,
oil.
You need more than just a bag of flour. And so the result...
But that's not true, though. Because I literally just watched Hamas steal... when the IDF gave all that food, I watched them take it. They recorded themselves eating the bananas and the processed turkey breasts and shit like that. And the juice... They're just drinking it, eating it, laughing, ha ha ha, we stole all this food from all the people begging and starving and dying. I need evidence of this. They need to prove that. I don't believe that. They're not providing the Palestinians with bags of flour. That's retarded. I think they're banking on people not doing any research. I think they're banking on... Maybe they truly believe this. Maybe they're brainwashed too. Maybe they haven't seen the same stuff I've seen. But I highly doubt it. These people have millions of followers. Like, they are... they have access to very, very powerful and intelligent people. They're not ignorant. There's no way that I have better information or more vetted sources than these guys do. I think they're just lying.
People
and that
dying of
makes me sad because I really, really like Sager.
Emaciated bodies stumbling around Gaza.
Hey, what's up, Jay?
We're not making this stuff up, okay?
Yeah.
You can go
Yes,
on the
you
internet and
are.
watch it. I mean, I think Crystal put a photo of a dead child. This is
Yeah.
happening,
Yeah.
before all of our eyes. It's just a question of like, okay, that would be another thing where when BB gave an answer to that in the show, he's like, oh, that is entirely on Hamas. They're stealing the food or whatever. It's like in these documents, like this is literally in the possession of these American and Israeli contractors who are putting this out. Also, they didn't even ask about why are you shooting the people who are trying to come and get food. Again, look, guys, this is all out there. And I know that they're going to say, oh, it's a...
I literally just finished talking about it. I think Like, I'm not mad at the NELK boys. They're self-admitted retards. Like, they've already come out multiple times and been like, yeah, we're not equipped to talk to world leaders. We just like doing shit. And it's like, what makes me, when I see the NELK boys in the news for anything, it fills me with so much confidence, because if people that are objectively stupid, who only like when they wake up in the morning, like, oh, I wonder what my bank account with all my OnlyFans girls looks like. Hey, you want to go bet on the Cowboys' probability of making the playoffs this season? Like, they bet on sports, and they just get drunk, and they go party, and they just date these stupid OnlyFans chicks, and it's like they're just retarded. Like, they've already come out and say, hey, we're not smart people, we're just dumb guys, and we just like entertainment. So why are people mad like they have some fiduciary responsibility to grill Netanyahu about why Palestinians are dying of starvation? Like, that's not their business. Like, they don't care. They want views. They just want eyes on their podcast so they can keep selling Happy Dad beer. They don't give a shit. Right, they're sitting there arguing about, is McDonald's better than Burger King? Why are you taking these guys serious? Who cares? They're just retards. they're just dudes with a platform that appeal to the lowest common denominator of man, which is just dude bro, college dorm, alcoholic womanizer asshole. Like, they're not making a difference. They're not trying to change the world. They don't care. They don't live in that reality.
Blood libel to
Who
suggest
gives a
all
damn?
on
They're
Hamas
barely even
on to-
saying that at this
Dude,
point.
You're right.
Yeah.
You know, at this point, they just let it happen because, look, what are they going to do? The U.S. embassy.
Yeah, he was a villain to Mustache Man. They think he's committed several war crimes. Well, those people are just retarded. Those people are retarded. Do I think there's validity that Israel is has like too much influence with American politics? Yeah, I've seen enough evidence to say that. I've seen enough stuff to say that for whatever reason we have a very, very close relationship with Israel. I think it is kind of weird, and I would like answers for it. But to pretend that Netanyahu is systematically torturing and murdering millions and millions of people is just not true. When I have on stream watched IDF soldiers walking buckets and containers and crates of supplies and food to people, and Palestinians waving the Israeli flag saying, thank you, Donald Trump, thank you, IDF, for helping us, we hate terrorists. And then they want me to think that they're sending fire from naval warships and they're gunning them down when they go to pick up the food. But they never show their sources for that information. They never show a clip of the videos. They never do. They just say, oh, it's happening. Where NELK was scrambling to bring on Myron, Sneeko, Hassan, and Nick, and they all made convincing points. Anybody can make a convincing point about anything. You can make a convincing point of why bestiality shouldn't be illegal or it shouldn't be wrong. But God said it's wrong. It's in the Bible that that's wrong. You should be stoned to death if you participate in that. Anybody can make anything sound... You can make socialism sound good. You can make a convincing argument for communism. You can make a convincing argument for why Catholic priests should be able to touch little boys. Anybody can position themselves in a way to make their argument sound beneficial or advantageous. Myron is a retard. The NELK boys are retards. Sneeko's a retard. Hassan is definitely a retard. And now I haven't seen the art. Do you have a link for what they're saying? I'm not a terrorist sympathizer, but bro, Jewish people think Jesus is in hell. They literally spit on Christians. I can't defend that. No, they don't. No, they don't. They're okay. Saying Jews do X is... There's a very, very small group of Jewish people. I forget their religious denomination. I have friends that live in Israel, and my pastor went there right before the conflict with Iran. He's not lying to us. He was able to meet with the Jewish ambassador for the U.S. or the Israeli ambassador. Or the United States' ambassador to Israel, excuse me. Oh, shit. He met with him. He was walking the streets. He went to Jerusalem. He went to the Holy Land. How their view on Jesus and if they believe in him. And everybody was just all cool. Some of them were like, I actually do believe Jesus was the Messiah. And a couple other ones were like, if Jesus truly is the Messiah, we will apologize and change our belief system. It's people paint it as like it is such weird black and white abstraction. They see one video of like they could have gotten an argument before they started recording that. You have no idea what happened. They see some random Jewish person spitting on the ground and like, see, Jewish people hate Christians and want them to die. Like, it's so easy for people to just throw Jewish people in a box and say, oh, you're Jewish, you hate Jesus, and you're okay with Zionists, you're Hitler, genocide. Like, that's just a gut reaction. Mossad agent. Like, what the f are you talking about? Like, most people are like, what are you even saying? And they just get lumped in with these Twitter extremists that think that every Jewish person is like some CIA operative. It's ridiculous. When people are saying this stuff about Jewish people, they need to say the Israeli government. Because that's like saying like with the Epstein cover up. That's like, let's say somebody in Greece is looking at the Epstein cover up in American politics and are like, wow, so all Americans are just pedophile sympathizers and want to rape little girls. Like, what? That's retarded. Just because the government's doing something does not mean any person that has no control over that is by any means complicit. The governments operate completely independently from the population of the nation. So when people are like, North Korea is so bad, I hate North Korea because they're evil. No, North Korea is authoritarian, psycho, no media, no internet, starving its own population for control and brainwashing them to worship the supreme leader. They're not complicit in this. What the fuck are they gonna do about it? Exactly. So people saying, oh, Jews hate Christians, Jews hate Jesus, and think that Jesus is burning in the underworld. What percentage of Jewish people in 2025 do you actually think globally believe that? With all of the information that's available, with AI, you can have ChatGPT on your phone, spit out any information from all across the internet. People have access to churches, people have access to Bibles, people have access to information. How many Jewish people do you genuinely think, oh, I hate Jesus for some reason? In big 2025. I'm sure it is a very small minority. That's like somebody from Mexico thinking of America and the first thing that pops to their mind is the KKK or slavery. Like, there's so much other shit to worry about. There's so much other variables. You can't just make blanket statements like that. The fact that Steiny, I think what's his name, Andrew Schultz said this, but it was so hilariously profound. Steiny is the most untalented person to ever make it this far in independent media. So every time I see him get platformed or see him in the news or see him get talked about, it fills me with so much confidence that as soon as I hit my stride, as soon as I get enough eyes on me, that I'm just gonna take off. Oh, Steiny's Jewish? Wow, I'm sure he is. Well, he's a Jewish retard. That goes to show you that there's a lot of different flavors of Jewish people. Cause like I've never seen the NELK boys say anything that was intelligent. I've never seen them say anything like that. That I was like, damn, that's a really good point. Every time I see them, it's something stupid. They're like giving an OnlyFans model a McLaren, or they have Gorlock the Destroyer on, and they're asking like what kind of guys he's into.
Like, is this true? Is this not true?
It's such a. I'm so sorry. I'm so thirsty. Hold on. I'm gonna grab some lemonade.
I see so much stuff about what's going on in Israel and Iran and Palestine, and to be honest, I just really don't know what is going on there.
This is just number one, moral relativism. Number two, laziness. Right. A lot of people saying a lot of things, man. A lot of people saying a lot of things.
That's not laziness, because there's AI videos. There's people that hate Jews that want to spew anti-Israel propaganda. There's people that are Palestinian sympathizers and want to pretend that there's no terrorist organizations that steal supplies and they kill people there. There's so much conflicting stuff. There's people that just hate the IDF and think that they're monsters and terrorists. Like, that's a very fair, reasonable perspective to have. I don't know what's real. I'm not there. I don't live there. You can't just be mad at somebody for not taking an objective stance on something just because that's how you view it. That's retarded.
So, like, you got to get to the truth, or at least try. At least try. This gets worse.
It's gonna be interesting to sit down with Prime Minister Netanyahu.
That wasn't even bad what he said.
Ask him some questions about what we read online and
get educated.
Probably gonna be a lot of hate in the comments and stuff like that.
Homie literally said, "We'll get educated." Talking to Benjamin Netanyahu. Is this generation cooked, man? That's my question for y'all. Is this generation just cooked?
In my opinion, I mean, dude.
We're journalists, right?
We're I mean, we're technically journalists.
How can you pass this
up? Oh my god, this is fucking take your child to work ass fucking intro. Jesus.
Look at him. It's just it's not even so much the way he looks. It's the way he carries himself. It's the way he dresses, the way he speaks. It's Steiny. It's like, let's say like you walked into like Publix or just like some random grocery store and you took the dude that was at the cash register and was like, "Hey, bro, come here real quick. Put a button-up shirt on, don't wear a tie, don't button your collar, and then put on a suit jacket, sit down and let's talk to Benjamin Netanyahu about international policy." I just can't stand that guy.
Them wearing their suits, looking like they've never worn a suit in their fucking lives, sitting there like giggly little schoolgirls, like, "Hee, we made it big time. We're talking to a war criminal."
Plus, at the end of the day, it's like we get an opportunity to sit down with one of the most powerful people in the world, a world leader.
Yeah.
And we get to ask him some stuff, and we're gonna ask him what we want to ask him too. So if you guys want to hear shit, whatever questions you guys want to hear, there's probably a ton of other interviews of him on CNN or like typical news stuff.
In other words, we're not going to hold him accountable. We're not going to hold his feet to the fire. We're not going to grill him. We're not prepared for this. We're just going to shoot the shit with it. They're prepping you up front to be let fucking down. Prepping you up front.
We're going to ask him what we want to ask him. So to me, this is crazy. Like how far we've come, and we get to sit down with world leaders.
Yeah.
It's fucking insane. So.
Yeah.
All about them, right? All about them. I think in their minds, they thought, "Hey, this is right on brand."
I think this guy's talking points is kind of annoying, but I don't know what the point of their desire was in talking to him.
Like, this is what you're doing, and they're too fucking stupid to realize it.
Because how often do you get the chance to talk to a world leader? That's so infrequent. Like, you have to kind of understand the responsibility that comes along with that. I'm not mad at them because they didn't, because I could care less what these guys do, just fundamentally. But if you're gonna do it, do it.
I mean, for any backlash, this is just an opportunity. Again, you can't really pass up.
It's an opportunity you can't. It's an opportunity you can't pass up. To talk to a literal indicted war criminal who right this second there are Palestinians starving to death and people being bombed and killed because of him. How is that an opportunity? It's an
The fact that he says that with so much confidence bothers me.
Opportunity for somebody who does their homework and is willing to go in there and be adversarial and is willing to get this guy on the record and is willing to humiliate him and is willing to call him out for the world historic evil villain that he is. But for you, no, this is not a fucking opportunity. God, I'm so happy their audience just was not buying this at all.
I don't see it. Like, there's no one else doing this.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. I'll sit down with any world leader in the world.
I agree.
I mean, my dream guest is Kim Jong-un.
Both
So
of
Kim
ours.
Jong-un, if you're watching this,
This is kind of
I'd like
like
to
that.
come to North Korea and interview you.
All I
as
can think
well.
about is the interview when we're doing
I'm
this.
so down to pull up to Moscow and interview Putin too.
Yeah, we'll do everybody.
I really hope they don't do that, because if they do that, I genuinely think maybe after this they reconsider. I wouldn't be surprised if they went to freaking to North Korea and they had some issues coming back home. I'm gonna be honest.
This is what sets off podcasts. You could put a small microphone here, but no, you have to see this thing, right?
Yeah, Prime Minister Netanyahu with us today.
Like, you're being used. It's because you're doofuses. It's because you don't know what you're talking about. It's because you're just like a bro hangout place. That's why they feel comfortable going to you, to humanize themselves. So this is what a lot of the podcast was like. Watch this.
What's your go-to at McDonald's?
No, I'll tell you, Burger King. We did the double.
This is just insulting. Benjamin fucking Netanyahu doesn't eat McDonald's. This is him trying to be relatable. This is him trying to win over public sentiment popularity. That's what this is. Everything else before, whatever. This? Yeah, absolutely.
Whopper?
Yeah,
I haven't ripped Burger King in a long
it's
time.
Burger King kind of sucks.
Yeah.
No,
The
you're wrong.
BK Lounge can hit. if
I
you're-
disagree completely.
You like Burger King over McDonald's?
That's your worst take, I think.
Absolutely.
That's a crazy take.
No, that was fine. I mean, I like Burger King. The answer is yes.
That's what the fucking thing was like. Here we go. We got more. For some reason they asked him about Mamdani in New York.
Even in New York City, right? What's Zoran?
Yeah.
He's an anti-Semitic guy.
Yeah.
The highest.
Casually says he's an anti-Semitic guy. Fucking total horseshit.
That's not horseshit. He said that if Netanyahu went to New York and he was the mayor, he would try to get him arrested and that he wouldn't be welcome there. Mamdani has literally said that he doesn't like Jewish people out of his own mouth.
Literally no evidence whatsoever that man, he's never said a single fucking anti-Semitic thing. Everybody's pretending like he said globalize the Intifada, which he didn't, but also, by the way, that's not
he did!
an anti-Semitic thing to say. But he didn't even say...
The Intifada wants to wipe Jews off the planet. That by definition, bro. I hate liberals, bro. I can't watch liberal media. I can't do it. They're so retarded. Oh my gosh, brother. What a dishonest prick. Myron Gaines confronts Snelk Boys for doing podcasts with Benjamin Netanyahu. I think Myron is a stupid
Your
ass
opinion
too.
on that? Just your overall opinion. Us having a world leader on, as we said.
Look, he's a war criminal, bro. He's currently wanted by the ICC. He's killed. Like, for example, one of the things he lied about was like, oh, they were burning babies alive. That's not true. A lot of the shit that happened on
That is true, actually.
October 7th was a lie.
That is true.
Rapes. There was no beheaded baby.
I saw it, Myron Gaines. Yes, there was. I wish. Actually, I don't wish. If I could show it on stream, I would. I still have the DM. Yeah, they did.
Whoa. Really?
Oh. Yeah, dude. Like that's bro. He fucking was just saying, look, if you guys want me to really go through this, I can. But a lot of the stuff that went down on October 7th was sensationalized and a fucking lie. Look at your chat. They know I'm telling the truth. Look at your chat right now. A lot of the shit that went down on October 7th was a fucking lie. And most people don't have the balls to fucking call this shit out, dude. There was no beheaded babies, no babies in ovens. Okay. Mass rapes were a lie. Look at your chat, bro.
But murders happened. They're saying facts, but murders happened or no murders? Chill.
No, murders happened, but it's very important for you guys to understand how the murders went down. So there were 1,200 people that died on that day, right? 400 of those people that were killed were IDF soldiers, which by international law means they are enemy combatants and they're fair game. Next was about 800 people died. Now this is the part that no one wants to talk about. The 800 that died, right, that were civilians, we'll also keep in mind that everyone in Israel has to join the IDF at some point and do service. So you can make the argument that they're enemy combatants, but that's fine. Let's go with 800 civilians, right? Those 800 civilians, we don't know who Hamas killed versus who the IDF killed. Now I know you guys are probably saying like, yo, what the fuck? The reason for that, guys, is there was a controversial directive activated that day called the Hannibal Directive. The Hannibal Directive is authorization from the government to kill Israeli citizens and or
Charge
soldiers
complete.
when they're about to be kidnapped by Palestinian militias. And the reason why the directive is authorization from the government to kill Israeli citizens and or soldiers when they're about to be kidnapped by Palestinian militias. And the reason why they do this is so they don't end up in a position where they have to exercise diplomacy and do hostages exchanges. They learned this with a guy back in 2006 named Gilad Shalit. So what Hamas did when they went in there, the goal was to get as many hostages as possible to negotiate the release of Palestinian prisoners that are in Israel. Again, I'm not here to condone their behavior, but I'm here to tell you guys why they did the said behavior and what really went down and what the intention was. So when we talk about the 800 Israelis that were killed, innocent people were killed. I'm not refuting that. But what I will say is a lot of those innocent people that were killed by the IDF. How do we know this? Because they were shot by Apache helicopters with Hellfire missiles. Hamas doesn't have that. There was some of them in the kibbutzes, which is their homes.
I mean, Myron, this is crazy now. We're going conspiracy theories.
This is not...
What is he talking about? What about the giant pallets of American military grade weaponry that Obama just left in Iran? We already know that Iran funds these terrorist groups. They do parades in U.S. military tanks. They were given rocket launchers and helicopters and planes and AK-47s and M14s and ammo. So if anything, America is what killed those people.
conspiracy theories, bro. This is 100% fact.
Because then, wait.
That's
bro,
not 100%
we're
fact.
seeing breaking news, a tweet. LMFAO having NELK interview Netanyahu is like Ted Bundy doing a podcast with a woman. These dudes are fucking retarded.
Wow, Myron.
But here you are.
Yeah, I thought we were
wait, so
homies.
how are you any different?
You
than
didn't say
him?
that was retarded. You said we're retarded.
Because you're using the platform, right? Just like, I'll give you the chance, but I'm just saying. Yahoo, Myron.
Guys, let's be 100% honest, not bullshit. You guys didn't think you were going to get this much backlash, and now you're
No,
damage control.
bro, are you crazy?
We knew this.
Myron, can I tell you? I'll be honest. Like I said on the pod, I'm not the most educated on this. When we got the opportunity, I started asking my Jewish friends, and I was like, "Yo, we're gonna have Netanyahu on the pod. Like, what do you think?" And they're like, "Bro, I fucking hate him." And then I asked another person, and they said the same thing. And then I'm like, "Oh, what do your parents think about him?" They're like, "Oh, they don't like him." So that's when I really knew. I was like, "Dude, this guy is the most hated man on the planet." And I realized that before we did the interview. Myron, this is not a shock to us at all, whatsoever. We actually posted. I posted on my Instagram story. You could check. We were going live on Kick before we dropped this pod.
No, I know
Yeah.
you guys were. But what I am saying is
the hate is not a surprise whatsoever.
Hold on, wait. Let's finish with Myron and then bring Sneeko right after. No, Sneeko,
Well,
stay
yeah.
on and just stay. Okay.
Okay, go.
So yeah, what I was saying before, bro, is basically the reason why a lot of people don't like Netanyahu is obviously he's committing a bunch of war crimes, and the other reason why people are pissed off is because.
Okay, well, why are people saying that? Because people just say that just so haphazardly. They say that with such confidence. The public consensus that Israeli Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu is a war criminal, as reflected in some international discourse, stems primarily from the International Criminal Court's issuance of arrest warrants on November 21st, 2024 for Netanyahu and former Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant. The ICC charged them with war crimes and crimes against humanity during the Gaza War, specifically citing the use of starvation as a method of warfare and crimes such as murder, persecution, and inhumane acts against Gaza's civilian population from October 8th, 2023 to at least May 20th, 2024. These charges relate to Israelis' military actions following Hamas' October 7th, 2023 attack, which killed over 1,200 people and involved hostage-taking. The ICC's allegations include Israel's systemic restriction of food, water, medicine, fuel, and electricity to Gaza, contributing to mass starvation and civilian deaths. With estimates of nearly 45,000 Palestinian fatalities, though some sources suggest higher numbers, the view is amplified by human rights organizations like Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch, which hailed the ICC's decision as a step toward accountability, arguing that Israel's actions, including targeting hospitals and blocking humanitarian aid, constitute grave breaches of the Geneva Conventions. Palestinian politicians and some international figures, like EU Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell and Jordanian Foreign Minister Ayman al-Safadi, have supported the ICC's rulings, emphasizing the need to halt alleged atrocities in Gaza. Posts on X and media outlets like Al Jazeera further highlight sentiments that Netanyahu's policies, including a prolonged blockade and military campaign, amount to ethnic cleansing or genocide, with some citing a UN committee's findings of methods consistent with genocide. However, this consensus is not universal. In Israel, the ICC's decision is widely rejected as anti-Semitic and biased, with Netanyahu and others arguing that Israel's actions are a justified defense against Hamas. Described as a genocidal terrorist group, the U.S., a non-ICC member, has also criticized the warrants, with President Joe Biden calling them outrageous and asserting no equivalence between Israel and Hamas. Israeli public opinion, as noted by experts like Dalia Scheindlin, often views international criticisms as unfairly targeting Israel, rallying support for Netanyahu domestically despite his controversial leadership. Critics of the war criminal label, including Netanyahu himself, point to Israel's claim of adhering to humanitarian law and attribute aid distribution issues to Hamas and criminal gangs. Some, like former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert, argue that while Netanyahu's Gaza strategy is flawed, it doesn't meet the threshold for genocide or war crimes as charged. The U.S. and Israel's non-membership in the ICC limits the warrant's immediate impact, though they restrict Netanyahu's travel to the 124 ICC member states where he risks arrest. Damn. The debate is polarized. Supporters of the ICC stance see it as a historic move against impunity, while opponents view it as a politically motivated attack on Israel's right to self-defense. The lack of ICC enforcement power and inconsistent application of warrants further complicates the global perception. Okay, so that's interesting. If Netanyahu is a war criminal, why is Putin not a war criminal? My main issue with the interview is that Netanyahu would rather go on NELK versus a journalist who would press him. It seems like Netanyahu did it to win back the public's approval. Yeah, I'm sure that's the case. I don't care about defending Netanyahu. I don't live in Israel. I don't have some affinity towards this man. He's just a leader of a place that I revere out of my faith. One thing I like Trump is that he wants smoke with any interviewer. Any you dodging just proves you're fronting. Except when it comes to Epstein. Except when he gets pressed about that. I mean, if this is true, if he's actually like starving people out and he's making citizens suffer on purpose, then I could see why people are displeased with him. I could understand that. I just really hope that people can understand that Israel does not operate one-to-one like the U.S. I'm not sure if things have to pass through the Israeli Congress or if a prime minister of Israel can just do whatever he wants on his own command. I don't know how much he has in comparison to like the president of the United States, for example. I have no idea. But if he's doing things like that, if this stuff is true, I mean, that's obviously not good. Like, I don't care if he's actually doing things unjustifiably. He's going against the rules, then hold him accountable then. I don't have a
Israel
problem
claims
with
to be
that.
our greatest ally, but they've been involved in a bunch of bullshit. They've stolen nukes from us. They were involved in 9/11. They had foreknowledge it was going to happen. This is all declassified information. It's not a conspiracy theory, contrary to what people tell you. The guy that owned the building got the biggest insurance payout ever, and he's a close friend of Netanyahu. They were involved in the assassination of John F. Kennedy because he tried to take their nukes away. Like, this is all factual stuff that's come out from declassified documents. And we give these guys an enormous amount of aid, and then they drag us into foreign wars. Like Iraq, for example, in 2003. We had no business over there.
Iraq was
Had
bullshit.
nothing to do with Osama bin Laden. We ended up
Iraq
in
was bullshit.
And 1 million people died. For what? Wars for Israel. Because Israel has a reckless foreign policy that we back, that Netanyahu's been a part of for the past 30 years, where we drag Americans into conflict for no fucking reason. And they have way too much influence in our government and with AIPAC and not even have to register in NEFERA. So that's why so many people have issues with Netanyahu and the Zionist lobby in America.
Myron, my quick question to you is that
Makes sense.
Do you have a problem with, how do you separate having a problem with Jews and having a problem with Israel?
Sure, that's a good question. So there are people, right, that have been vocal about this that are Jewish, right? There's people like Max Blumenthal, Dave Smith, Norman Finkelstein. There's a bunch of people that talk about this stuff, and they talk about the atrocities and the bad foreign policy, Jeffrey Sachs, etc. A lot of intellectuals. But I think the important thing that people need to understand is that most Zionists are actually evangelical Christians, right? But most Jews are Zionists. So this is why, you run into the problems that you have. Not every Jew is a Zionist. A lot of them are actually, anti-Israel, which is great. But it's not.
I don't understand how that's great. I feel like that's weird. Why would you be Jewish and not be an advocate for the established state of Israel? That's all. Definitionally, that's all that means. Being a Zionist just thinks you believe that Israel has a right to exist. That they deserve, with as small of a population as they are, 15.8 million people, that they should have a place to call home. They should have a land to themselves. Why would any Jewish person not be a Zionist? That's such a stupid point of contention to have. That's like saying, that's like creating like Like, you're an Americanist because you think that America has a right to exist. You're a Peruvianist because you think Peru has a right to exist. They need to come up with a different term that means something different, because constantly falling back on the term Zionist doesn't make any sense unless they're using it in some weird colloquial way, like some slang term of like supporting Israel's starvation tactics or something. Like, make a new term.
About having a problem with Jews, it's about having a problem with Zionists. It just so happens that most Zionists tend to be Jewish.
Okay. No shit.
Because I think that's a big problem, especially on the internet, is that everyone at this point is grouping two and two together. And I think that there's a differentiator between being Israeli and being an American Jew. And like your buddy, like you're never gonna turn down a collab from Aiden Ross, right?
Yeah, I'm cool with Aiden, but like again, Aiden's not committing a genocide right now. Like,
for sure.
Neither is any Jewish person that lives in Israel, except for the leadership. You can't pin that on somebody that lives in Israel. You can't say, oh, you're Jewish and you live in your people's homeland. Okay, you supported a genocide. What? You don't have pull over these decisions. Oh, Alex Jones live? He is. IDF soldiers bring supplies to Palestinians. Bring food and water to children in Gaza. Like, I see this constantly. I see it all the time. Like, my Jewish friends repost. Maybe every time they post stuff like this on their story, I need to repost it to my Instagram story. Because I see this stuff always, bro. Brings water and food to Gaza residents. IDF members hand deliver them because Hamas steals it. They take all their food, so then they have no choice but to go walk it in there because they actually care about these people. Shows IDF soldiers delivering 300 liters of fuel for medical purposes to Shifa Hospital. No, like this is at nighttime with freaking night vision goggles.
Truth, and telling the truth is crazy.
See how IDF soldiers are kind to Palestinian children. This is the truth of the matter. This is the stuff that I see. I don't. You know what's crazy? They say, "Oh, look it up." I have looked it up. I can never find a video of IDF hunting down Palestinian children or innocent civilians. In Arabic has released a video that quite easily debunks many false claims against IDF soldiers. A large Palestinian crowd runs and swarms an aid truck. The soldiers stand not far away, and despite the tense situation, do not fire a single shot. They left it. Look, they're waving their hands saying thank you, thank you, thank you. Because the IDF soldiers are standing there with their guns to make sure that the civilians actually get the stuff. So, like, I'm not buying it, Myron. I'm not buying it, bro. Israeli IDF soldiers offer humanitarian aid and water to Palestinians and have their doctor help treat a sick child. IDF soldiers are intentionally shooting and killing desperate Palestinians as they are trying to get humanitarian aid from Israeli-backed organizations. That's the heart of this story. Let's see it.
Boxes of aid and is doing the exact same thing today, and will do the exact same thing tomorrow.
Okay, let me shot at people. I've given you a good chance to speak there. Palestinians have died as they. I have to get this out. I have to get this out.
There's one thing I will say. Anytime you find yourself agreeing with the public opinion, with the popular opinion that's pushed out by media and by the government, it's always bullshit. Every single time. All the government wants to do is lie to you and control you. So when these media outlets that are in bed with the government push out this propaganda that IDF is terrorists and they're horrible and they're bad and they bomb their own people and all they want to do is eradicate everybody in Gaza so they can build a bunch of beachfront properties and sell a bunch of real estate. Like, come on, bro. Just look it up for yourself.
You want to talk
People
about
just
how Greta
buy
Thunberg
it.
got involved in some sort of, political theater, whatever. I don't care what anyone thinks about Greta Thunberg. I see that as a distraction. What it's distracting from is the fact that IDF soldiers are intentionally shooting at and killing desperate Palestinians.
Show me the videos.
Trying to get humanitarian aid.
You know what? It's so crazy that they say this constantly. IDF is bad. Israel is controlling the world. How is the smallest natural population of like any people? I think the only population that's like smaller than Israeli-born Jewish people is like the Druze, who Syrian Islamic extremists are ethnically cleansing right now, ripping men's beard off of their faces, girls, and just murdering tens of thousands of people that are innocent. This is the same video constantly getting shared. Is there anything different? World Food Program humanitarian aid sold to Palestinians on the streets of Gaza despite the boxes being labeled not for sale. So these people, they take the shit that the IDF gives them and then they resell it at like 2x, 3x the price of what it actually was when it was just free aid. The IDF publishes a video on discovering ammunition and weapons inside residential areas in Gaza. There's a bunch of suicide bombers. Why do you think that is? You think it's just a coincidence that is like when you I'm reading the Bible right now from cover to cover. I'm on the book of Joshua. The Jewish people ordained by God himself were outnumbered, outmanned, outgunned, outweaponed, they had less supplies than anybody, but they were feared by all. They were terrified by all because God delivered them through all of their conflicts. And it was like, destroy these disgusting nations that perverse my name and that worship these other gods because I am blessing you with this land. Do you really think it's just some conspiracy theory? Oh, I wonder why the IDF can go in and kill all these terrorists with precision strikes. Why is the Mossad so powerful? Why do they have such a wealth of intelligence in the Middle East? Why are they so revered? Why does everybody know their name? You think that's a coincidence? It's not, bro. It's because these are God's people and they're protected always. So I'm not buying this propaganda. They just walked into a random home and there's a rocket launcher on the ground and backpacks with bombs in them, explosive phones. That are tax dollars in Middle East jumping them. About to look like when Mahito got jumped by Yuji and Nanami. Yeah. Now, as far as like 9/11, I don't know what to make of that. That's weird. That's weird as hell too. I'm not gonna defend that. Exactly, bro. Like, we have no idea what the IDF has to deal with on a daily basis.
Not the same. You know what I mean? It's a completely different situation. And again, like I said before, it's a very sensitive topic. People are terrified to talk about it for obvious reasons. Yeah. But if we're going to go ahead and really have this discussion, I think people need to understand that Israel is not our greatest ally like they claim. And we give them way too much money and they're dropping bombs on kids and they make us look bad. And they don't deal with accountability for their reckless foreign policy ever.
All right. Myron, we appreciate you, bro. We're going to bring Stico on.
No problem, man.
Thank you.